What is going on, guys? I'll make this quick, I promise, but I have to tell you a little backstory first on how I made this video happen. As you guys know, the Golden Nugget doesn't necessarily allow filming. Been told in the past that, yeah, you can't film. Even got asked to leave a few times when playing sessions. And I even played a few sessions after that where we weren't filming, but I made some videos on it to just show the interesting hands that went down. But anyway, I decided, let's try again. I was like, hell with it. If they tell me to leave again this time, then, I mean, what's the harm? So be it, right? So I didn't wear my Gaines hat. I was like, I'm gonna try to keep a low profile, try to stay under the radar and see what happens. And I have some good news. You're seeing this video because we managed to get or play a late night, early morning session at the Golden Nugget. So here it is. Hope you guys enjoy.
We start this 1-2 uncapped no limit session a little after midnight, and we start with $1,000. There's a few decent sized stacks at the table, so we want to cover. Just the best strategy, I believe, either cover or get as close as you can. I think this was the second hand, if I'm not mistaken, that we're dealt in, and we look down at King 9 suited in the low jack. We opened to $15. I think any time now, if I play lower stakes, my opens are bigger. So instead of $10, $11, or $12, I go $15. It just seems like the new standard, inflation, I guess. Well, actually a few reasons. Raising 3 or 4x or even 5x to say $10. It's just not a lot anymore these days. So it doesn't really eliminate all the BS as much. Cause say you raise 5x $10 and get 4 or 5 callers, it's just like in a fight. I mean, I'll kick your ass one-on-one all day, but 1v4, that's much harder. So in this case, our $15 raise does just that, only the small blind comes along. So we go heads up to a flop in position and flop top pair. There's 2 clubs out there, but liking our hand. So when he checks to us, we bet half pot, trying to build one. A high card board, we'd probably c-bet this board texture regardless of what we had. He doesn't take too long and makes a call pretty quickly. So with $63 in the middle, the turn comes off 2 of clubs. Not my favorite card in the world. The front door flush gets there, but if he doesn't have a flush, we should still be ahead. He checks, and I think we can go either way here if we continue, and he calls. We can check back river, or check now for pot control, and see what he wants to do on the river. So both options are available. If he has us beat, he's gonna let us know since he's first to act. And I know I have to mention this, he's an OMC, so definitely plays a factor here. We decide to take that first option and continue. We throw out $35. We don't have to bet out too much to get the information we want. If he raises, we can snap fold, because it's not a bluff with this player type. If he folds, then again, we risk not that much for a good result. And if he calls, as I mentioned, shutting it down on the river. He does decide to make the call, so we're off to a river, and it gets even worse for our hand. It's Jack of Hearts. Now more hands than I can count beat us, so when he checks on over to us, we snap check it back. I say I have a king, and he flips over his hand, and he shows a better king. Ace king to be exact. Wow, no 3-bet squeeze in a slam dunk situation in the small blind with the premium. I guess I don't know what I'm doing, and that's why players like this win money, and I apparently don't. Moving on though, and more than a half hour goes by, and I'm just bored. A lot of looking at 2 cards and folding happens. So when we look down at 10-8 offsuit, it's looking like a premium to us. We 3-bet in the cutoff to $35 after the hijack makes it 10. The original raiser, the hijack is the only caller, so we're in position going heads up to a flop. And the flop is not bad. We get open-ended 9-7-3 with 2 clubs. He checks in flow to us and a low card board. It's hard to really represent anything besides an overpair. So we check back because that board just hits him more than us. So we're off to a free turn. And it does hit us. It's a 10 of hearts. Was really hoping for one of our straight cards, but a 10 will do. We have top pair. He checks again to us, and we make a delayed c-bet of $30. He thinks for a little bit and decides $30 is not enough. He makes it more. He makes it 100 to go. So a double check raise. Did he pick up a straight draw himself and is just going with it? Or did he slow play a set of some sort? We didn't put in $30 to fold to a raise when we improved. So we make the call for $70 more. We maybe could have put him all in if a draw like a straight and flush draw is what he's on, because he only has $160, maybe $170 left. But let's just see what happens. The river comes off, probably one of the worst cards in the deck is a deuce of clubs. So the obvious front door flush gets there. Action now on him. And he decides he wants to play for all of it. He jams. And at this level, it's just not a bluff. He's not doing this with any hand that's not beating us. It might not be a flush, but definitely not less than our pair of tens. So we just snap fold. Getting unlucky in the early going of this session, but perhaps that was just the beginning, because in this next hand, we should have had it all, but get counterfeited. We look down at 8-6 offsuit in the big blind. There's a $5 button straddle, get a few callers, action on us, and we call for $3 more, hoping the button doesn't take advantage of the dead money. And he doesn't, and he just checks his option. So going multi-way to a flop, and it comes King 8-5 rainbow. We check in flow, expecting someone to bet, but no one wants to. Action checks all the way around. The turn is a great card, giving us 2 pairs, a 6 of spades. The small blind checks again, and we are no longer in the checking mood. We bet $15 into the field. The under the gun 1 folds, but the middle position player makes it more. He throws out 45, a standard 3x. This was the same guy who beat us with ace king in the first hand, so now wanting to raise probably is a decent hand. But we also have a decent hand, so when it folds to us, it's an easy call for $30 more. Now we're heads up, and remember what I said in the beginning, we get counterfeited. The river is a king of spades. So getting counterfeited and being out of position, not loving life right now. We check, because we don't beat anything, even an 8 with a higher kicker beats us. Not really sure what we're gonna do if he bets. He thinks for a few seconds, but luckily he decides to check. He flips over his cards and shows 6-5 suited. We win the hand, but should have won more easily, if not all of it. I mean, is it too much to ask for a 6 on the river one time? Nothing interesting happens for the next hour, slowly bleeding and not catching, getting okay starting hands, some pairs or connecting face cards, but not connecting on the boards. No backdoor straights, backdoor flush, nothing. So yeah, bleeding away. That is until these hands happen. We look down at ace king offsuit on the hijack. It folds to us and we open to $15. The cutoff and the button fold. The small blind, however, decides to raise it up to $36. Not quite a min click, but close. The big blind gets out of the way, action on us, and the small blind only has $95 total in a stack, so a no-brainer all in from us. He calls right away and then says this.
You like to raise your airline?
I'm like, really? Aces? Ace king versus aces? We managed to river a king, but it's not enough, obviously. A small all in, but really, aces versus ace king? Pretty sick. The very next shuffle though, we look down at king jack offsuit. We open to $15 again. Only the small blind makes the call. The same guy with ace king the first hand. The flop is perfect for us. It's 2-2 jack with 2 spades. The small blind first act leads for $12, and someone as tight as this player shouldn't have a 2. Even if he does, he wouldn't lead here. And as I said many times, amateur players like to lead top pair. So unless he specifically has ace jack, we're ahead. So I'm taking this lead as a check, and we raise things up to 30. And also to mention to you all, he only has $70 total in his stack, so not much to play for behind. I figure get the money in now while we're ahead. He's an older man OMC, like I said, and he slowly reaches for his remaining chips. And you can even see me beat him in the middle for a call, only so little left behind. So that was the long version, but all the money goes in, the turn comes, and I think we're ahead, but he flips over his hand, and it's pocket aces. Wow. Running into aces back to back again? I mean, what the hell is going on? I hear another player tell or ask, was that 2 hands in a row?
I do.
Oh man, I heard what happened to you. That was so cold. You must have felt like shit.
Yes, man, thanks for asking. So back-to-back hands, we go against aces with really good hands ourselves. Ace king versus aces, and now king jack on a jack 2-2 flop. Good thing the next hand we weren't beat facing aces. Was out-flopped, just not against aces. But more folding and getting out-kicked, out-flopped, out-turned, out-rivered, all of it. We win some pots just being aggressive, stealing the blinds, raising pre-flop, until this hand comes along. And I swear to God, I was gonna do a no-look type of deal where I don't look at my cards if no one raises pre-flop and just play the board and play ranges depending on who we're facing. And you can even see here I do a fake look. I didn't want an opponent to see, to know for a fact we didn't look, so pretending. But unfortunately, there was an early position open to $12 and also a button 3-bet, so kind of had to peek with all the action in front of us. Kind of wishing we didn't, because we had a solid hand, Jack 10 suited. There's a button straddle, like I said, to $5. The under the gun 1 made it 12, the button 3-bet to 35. We make the call, and the under the gun 1 folds. All right, that was weird, but anyway, we go heads up to a flop, and the flop is queen 8-5 with 2 clubs. We have a gutter and backdoor flush draw. We check and flow to the button, and he decides to make a c-bet, a decent sized c-bet to $60. I would have thought a normal half pot size c-bet was in order, but he goes a little bigger, leads me to believe he's afraid of this board somehow. So we come along looking to lead any low card turn. And this was strange. I was thinking in my head, offsuit 9. I was telling myself, offsuit 9, come on. And what do you know, an offsuit 9, the 9 of diamonds, the best perfect card. But our strategy of leading now, I don't know, we have the nuts, and unless he has a flush draw, he's drawing basically dead. And since we thought he wasn't as strong on the flop, we can let him continue to bluff, feed him some rope. So we check to him again, and he himself now tosses in a $100 bill in the middle, so $100 is the price. He only has $330 total in his stack, give or take, so to me this is basically pocket committing himself with only $230 behind. So it's a pretty easy decision. We take a few breaths and announce all in. In his eyes, we probably do the same thing with the flush draw, so hoping he calls off with top pair or an overpair. He asked for a count, and we confirm we have him covered. Similar chip stacks, but we have him covered. So he didn't have a complete bluff, or else he would just snap fold. So while he's tanking, I'm hoping, praying he calls. He tanks for over a minute, but does end up folding and says, good bet. He starts saying out loud afterwards hands that I could have potentially had. He says ace queen with the ace of clubs. Other players chip in and say I had a set. He agreed, ace queen or a set. Both were wrong, but what do you guys think of the play? Would you just smooth called and then jammed river? This hand helps us crawl back a little, but a double up would have been a lot nicer. I don't really remember if I told him what I had. Maybe I did. If not, they'll see it here. As fun as that table was, it eventually broke, and we filled out the other tables that were on the poker room. We win a few just being aggressive again, like here, 3-bet squeezing with ace-3 of clubs. And finally, this interesting hand happens. We're in the under the gun 1. The under the gun limps for $2. We're next to act and look down at ace-queen offsuit. We raise things up to $20. The button, big blind, and the under the gun call. So we go 4 ways to a flop, and it's pretty good. It comes ace-6-4 with 2 spades. We have top pair, second best kicker. The big blind first to act checks and flow, but the under the gun, however, decides to lead. And I can't tell if this player was a good player or just played his cards face up. What I mean by face up is that he had no balance. I'm sure you guys have heard that many times before, to balance out your range, whether you're bluffing or going for value. Because so far he's made some pretty questionable plays, to say the least.
That much. You realize I raised, right?
Like in that hand that I just showed you, I was the initial aggressor, had a pocket pair, and the flop was like ace jack 7, and he leads a board that should hit us more than him. I don't know, maybe he was a genius, but he leads here again for $45. So thinking he has an ace or a flush draw can maybe raise in this spot, but we still have 2 players left to act behind, so we just call, and this eliminates the button and the big blind. So down to 2, and the turn doesn't change anything. It's a better card, range-wise for us. It's a king of hearts. The under the gun, first to act, decides to slow down and check. So now I'm putting him on specifically a smaller ace, ace 10, ace 9, ace 8 suited. We're beating those hands, so let's go for some value. We throw out a bill and announce $75.
Ace. What? Ace. Do I have an ace? Maybe. Maybe. Good ace. Fake review. Yours is small or what? Average.
Usually when players talk mid-hand, they're folding, and sure enough, he does, and shows the ace of clubs. So our read was correct, just couldn't get the value we wanted. We're gonna go over the very next shuffle. We get involved with a whale, a younger poker pro, or maybe just someone that had money. For context, there was a private game happening right next to our original table, which I glanced over at from time to time. It looked like a group of friends, not sure who they were, but all had stacks of chips and a lot of $100 bills in front of them, doing $100 bomb pots, straddling to $20 at a time. And I'm like, why can't I get invited to that kind of a game? Am I not cool enough? I mean, do I not have enough subscribers? Maybe that's it. You guys can help me out with that though. So come on, sub right now if you're not already, so I can get invited to those kind of games. But anyway, their table broke and one of the players came to this one and is sitting at seat 8. And he definitely brought that higher variance energy, asking the dealer if he can straddle to $20 or double straddle. So definitely an action player. Seeing that he brought a lot more money with him to the game, we add on $500 more, so in the game now for $1,500 total. And me wanting to get involved with him, we eventually do in this one. We're in the end of the gun with King Jack of Hearts. Seat 8 had the $5 button straddle on, and knowing he's gonna raise, let's just allow him to do that. We limp for $5. A few more tag along for $5. Action now on him, and sure enough, he doesn't disappoint. He bumps things up to 30. He knew the table knew he raised a lot of hands, so he does, as we expected. The small blind folds, the big blind folds, we call, and the other limper folds as well. So we go heads up to a flop, and the flop comes king, queen, jack with 2 diamonds. Top and bottom pair for us against an aggressive player. This is exactly what we hope for. We check him flow, because that's what we do. And he starts with some table talk.
So what do you have in your hand?
2 cards.
What do you mean? Like, what's in your hand?
I ask him, what do you mean? I guess he just wanted to get a read out of me. He bets out $45, a C bet of 45. I expected a C bet regardless of what he had, so nothing strange thus far, and we don't want to alarm anything. Like I mentioned, he was a splashy player, a good splashy player, so let's just feed him some rope if he wants to continue bluffing. We just make the call. Off to a turn now, and the turn brings in the front door flush as the 4 of diamonds. Not my favorite card, but not too concerning. We check again to him, and he makes another bet. He continues, but he only announces and throws out $50. This raises my suspicion a little. I would think a veteran player would make a bigger bet than that, not even a half pot size bet. So this is already smelling fishy to me.
Kind of small.
I even say out loud, wow, that's pretty small, man. Letting him know that I'm not an idiot, that I actually know what I'm doing. I've been playing this game a long time. So in summary, something's off. I have a feeling we're behind, but are getting a really good price to boat up, so we call the $50 bet. Really hoping for a king or a jack, but it doesn't come. It's a black brick. Don't even remember what it was. Perhaps a 2, 3, 5, I don't know, something small, and I remember it was black. We check right away to him, see what he wants to do. He takes his time, thinks, and then announces all in. And he doesn't even just throw out his chips that he had in his hand. He reaches back and throws out all the hundreds he had in front of him. Wow, that's an over 4x, nearly 4.5x river jam, because we started the hand with close to $1,200. Biggest river jam we've ever faced thus far. I have to glance back at my cards just to make sure what they were. I'm 99% sure they were hearts, but if they were diamonds, this is getting snapped off. And if he happened to have the nuts, I mean, congrats to him, but we look, and they are in fact hearts. And as I said before, it was fishy, so we just snap fold. The table starts talking about the hand, and he does say, and he does show that he had 6, 7 of diamonds.
Pushing 2 diamonds.
Yeah, like a pot-sized bet would have got you. I mean,
I tell him maybe a pot-sized bet gets him paid, and he knew it too. If you caught it, he said maybe I shouldn't have gone so much. It's hard to say if we call, depending on what the exact size was or how he did it. But all the factors I mentioned, him being a good player, his demeanor, the table talk, the turn size, and the make it look like I just have money 4.5x overbet gem was a little sus. So maybe some of you looking at this hand might think it's straight up, but if you really break it down and analyze it, there's more to it. So I encourage all of you to just be observant at your table. Be a constant learner. Listen to what's around you. Watch what's going on. Even when you're not in the hand, listen to the conversations being had. See how people are sitting, making bets, if they announce bets or just throw out chips. Learn and get to know your opponent, because like in this example, all the factors can be hundreds if not $1,000 decisions. It really makes poker a lot easier when you learn your opponent's tendencies, capabilities. You have to play a game of chess, so to speak. Like, I know that you think I know, but I actually know. Does that make sense? I hope it does. I just want you to be observant at the poker table. That was my tip of the day, or tip of the video if you want to call it that. We don't play for too much longer. Get involved here, out of position, flop an ace, top pair with the trash kicker, and call down all 3 barrels and lose to a bigger ace. Something I know I shouldn't have done, but did it anyway. So in total, we lose just shy of $600 at this 1-2 uncapped game at the Golden Nugget. At the end, cashing out my chips, I asked the guy, I was like, hey, you guys allow filming here? Pretending that I haven't asked 8 or 9 times already. His response was kind of like, not really. He didn't give me a yes or no answer, like 100% definite yes or no answer. He's like, not really, but me in particular, I'm not gonna say anything. So, hey, maybe things are loosening up here and might have a full green light soon, who knows? And honestly, if that's the case, I bet we can have some huge uncapped games here, which I'm sure all of you would like, am I right? But until then, that's it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed this beatdown, and always remember, move your body, work out. I'm Matty Ice, this is Gains Poker, peace out.